trouble, just ask around. But when outside faces from foreign places talk about taking over, we ain't backing down. We ain't giving up no mountains, we ain't giving up no tree, we ain't giving up no river that belongs to we. Not one blue sake, not one rice grain, not one caress, not a blade of grass.
Speaker.
Thank you, honorable members. Please be seated. Honorable members, we will resolve ourselves into committee of supply to continue consideration of the estimates and invite the Honorable Attorney General and Minister of Legal Affairs, the Honorable Mahabir Anil Nandlal, and his team we need to let the assembly resume. Honorable Prime Minister.
Mr. Speaker, I ask that we suspend the necessary standing orders so that the Assembly could work beyond 8 p.m.
Honorable members, the question is that the House suspend the standing orders to go beyond 8 o'clock and complete the business for today. Those in favor? Those against? Thank you. Let the House resolve itself into committee. Honorable Attorney General.
Yes, sir.
Minister of Legal Affairs and his team is in place. And I invite you, honorable members, to turn to pages 276 and 277. And I propose the question that the sum stated for Agency 52, Program 521, current expenditure stands part of the estimates. The honorable member, Ms. Geeta Chandan Edmond.
Thank you very much, Mr. Chair. To the Honorable Attorney General, I've noticed in line item 6116, there's an increase of 6 staff members. While I'm not interested in their names, can you provide me, please, with their designations, their remuneration, their skill sets, and their qualifications? Thank you.
Certainly.
Go ahead, AG.
The personal assistant to the Attorney General, the salary there is 234,300. One systems administrator, the salary there is 257,587. One accounts clerk 2, the salary is 106,324. 2 typist clerks, the salary is 94,765 each, and 1 clerk 2 general, $106,324. I don't think you need.
I would need their qualifications, having regard to their designation.
Their qualifications.
No, having regard to the designation, it implies. Can you kindly disaggregate line items? Sorry, Mr. Chair, through you, line item 6284, please.
This fund caters for the recurring activities such as ads, stipend for ministerial tender board members, a Microsoft 365 business subscription, as well as a new software as recommended by the NDMA to address certain identified cybersecurity deficiencies.
Thank you, AG. Honorable members,
Mr.
Mr.
Chair.
Mahipal.
Thank you, Comrade Chairman. Comrade Chairman, I turn the AG's attention to line item 6117, temporary employee. And I see that there is one here for 2025. Would this employee be working for the full 12 months of the year as a temporary employee?
It's a part-time temporary cleaner or cleaners.
Cleaners? May I ask how many cleaners?
Oh, sorry, it's a part-time cleaner.
A part-time cleaner. Sorry, may I ask the Honorable AG, when he says a part-time cleaner, how many hours per day?
So I'm told that whenever the current permanent cleaners go on leave, this person
Thank you.
is used instead. Or in
Thank you
lieu.
very much, Comrade Chairman.
Thank you, AG. Honorable members, I now put a question that the sum stated for program 521, current expenditure, stands part of the estimates. Those in favor say aye. Those against say no. Ayes have it. The sum stated now stands part of the estimates. Honorable members, let us turn to program 523 on pages 278 and 279, and I propose a question that the sum stated for this program, current expenditure, stands part of the estimates. The Honorable Member, Ms. Geeta Chandan Edmund.
Thank you very much, sir. Honorable AG, I noticed that you plan to table 50 pieces of legislation this year, and I once again wish to commend you for your proactive and progressive stance in the justice sector. I know I might get some backlash again for saying this, but that being said, which of these bills are considered priority for the fiscal year? Are there any governance or constitutional related among them?
First of all, I'd deeply appreciate if you report to me the backlash so that we can deal with it. Sir, we have a very aggressive legislative agenda which I've articulated on many occasions publicly and in this House. So we have, for example, if I may list some that are considered a priority, the Sexual Offences Amendments Bill, the Integrity Commission Amendment Bill, the Oil Spill Bill. That's not the proper name, it has a long name, but loosely it's called the Oil Spill Bill. A Trustees Act, a Trustees Bill. We don't have a Trustees Act in Guyana. We have amendments to the Anti-Money Laundering, Countering the Financing of Terrorism Act. We have a bill that will allow the state to dispose of assets that are held by the state while cases are pending, and that bill will authorize the state to sell those assets and deposit the monies recovered therefrom in an interest-bearing account. And the mischief of that legislation is to prevent assets deteriorating while cases are pending in the court. We have the evidence bill, which I doubt that will reach the floor of the Parliament. We have three bills coming out of CARICOM, a CARICOM arrest warrant bill. We have an advanced passenger information bill, and we have a regional security systems bill. And you want me to go on? It's a long list. Sorry? Those are some of the major ones. My list is certainly not exhaustive. And, sir, I have many more. I can't remember them offhand, but I can provide the honorable member with a list in terms of the priority.
Thank you, AG. Honorable Member, Ms. Ferguson.
Thank you very much, Mr. Chair. Mr. Chair, may I turn the honorable member attention to line item 6284, other. I note for 2024, we had a budgetary sum of 682 million and change, and with a revise of 627 million. So I note that for 2025, the AG's chamber is now requesting some 424,716,000. My first question to the honorable member is whether he can disaggregate this sum, and then I'll have a few follow-ups, sir. Thank you.
AG.
I certainly can, sir, disaggregate the sums. This line item, sir, covers payment of legal fees, payment for a new website for the official gazette. As the House would be aware, the official gazette is now online, is a very important facility that our citizens access on a regular basis to apprise themselves of important publications. And that website, which was created in 2013, I think is the same website that we have been working with. It drastically needs modernization and reformatting. That will be done this year. We have provision also under this line for our anti-money laundering, countering, financing of terrorism activities, and as a broad spectrum of activities that we pursue under this head to keep our financial systems and intact and comply with other international regulations. We have also under this head, sir, the land regularization program, which is a special program that the ministry runs in tandem with Guyana Lands and Surveys Commission, the Deeds Registry Authority, the Central Housing and Planning Authority and the Ministry of Housing, as well as the Land Registry. We have successfully, sir, undertaken in this exercise and delivered to hundreds, yes, we haven't reached the thousands as yet, hundreds of families, titles and transports for lands that they have been occupying for decades. Only next month, for example, over 250 transports will be distributed to the residents of Walton Hall on the Essequibo coast. In a very well-publicized handing over ceremony, we delivered over 250 titles at Cotton Tree, and we have 1,000 more in the pipeline for about 4 or 5 villages on the west coast of Berbice. We are also working with the Ministry of Housing to deliver 450 titles at Ansgrove on the east coast of Demerara. And number 46 village on the Quarantine Coast, we have an entire village that we will regularize and deliver transports to. That's just a few I have mentioned. So that is catered for under this head. It is also public knowledge that the government is committed to do that which is necessary for the establishment of a law school here to be managed and run by the Council of Legal Education of the West Indies, and work has begun already in the establishment of this initiative. We have already located approximately 7 acres of land within the precincts of the University of Guyana campus at Turkine. We have submitted a preliminary feasibility study to the Council of Legal Education as requested by the Council. Last week, Wednesday, we met, the Council established a subcommittee of the Council to specifically address the issue of the establishment of another law school of the Council in this time in Guyana. And that subcommittee met only last Wednesday, and certain timelines were agreed on for the submission of the entirety of the feasibility study in time for consideration by the Council at its September meeting. This head also covers, sir, the project of the revised laws of Guyana. It is well known that the last revision exercise was concluded in 2012, which produced the Nandlal volumes of the laws of Guyana in purple.
Here.
And in the year, and then we started another law revision exercise, because from 2012 to now we would have passed many laws. So we are now concluding that law revision exercise, and that will bring our laws
2.0.
up to the 31st of December 2022, and that would be the Nandala law revision laws of Guyana part 2, or the second edition. The only Attorney General that would have accomplished that feat twice. So that exercise, sir, as the distinguished minister mentioned in his budget speech, will be concluded in June of this year. And, sir, also under this head is monies for the completion of the law reports of Guyana. The last volume or last set of law reports spanned 1977 to 2007. That again was launched between the period 2011 to 2015, when a particular person occupied the post of Attorney General. Now, another edition from 2007 to 2020, that is now being completed. We have the volumes ready, and they're about to be sent to the printry, the national printers for printing. That also will be launched or would be completed by June of this year or even before. We also pay for online subscriptions to law journals and other facilities that the lawyers use, library subscriptions like VLEX, Nexus Lexis, etc. And so we intend to purchase a new case management system to manage the thousands of files that we are dealing with every day in the chambers of the Attorney General. I believe I have exhausted the items that are covered, or the exercises that are covered in relation to this sum.
Thank you very much, Honorable Member. Mr. Chair, through you, yes, it's a long list, but I would like to pick from that list, though the Honorable Member did not put costs association with each items that he would have listed. But he made mention of legal fees. And my question to the Honorable Member is whether this particular line item, whether you will be paying the fees, the remaining fees, well, first of all, let me ask you a question, whether monies from this particular line item were paid for the Gale and Burke matter, were paid for Barrett Jagdeo versus Brian Max, and were paid for for
This is,
they
honorable member,
they
honorable member, I see you using the past tense,
That,
but we are
I
now
didn't want to
dealing
say
with,
it, sir, but thank you very much.
I'm getting somewhere. I'm asking whether there are any funds from this particular allocation will be used to pay additional legal fees for the Berg versus Gale matter, the Barajagdeo versus Brian Max matter, the Mustafa, what's this guy's name again? Versus Aubrey Norton, and there's another one, and it's Ferguson versus Barra Jagdeo. So can the honorable member say whether there will be funds in here to pay an additional pay off for the fees, and whether he can tell the National Assembly who is the retained lawyer in these cases that I've just alluded to? Thank you very much.
Honorable Attorney General.
Thank you very much, sir. Sir, all legal fees that will become due and owing, for which the Attorney General Chambers retained lawyers, will be paid out of this account. That's the first thing. Secondly, if it is that the Attorney General Chambers retained any of the lawyers in relation to any of the cases that the honorable members mentioned, and those fees become due and payable based upon the retainer contracts, well, then it will have to be paid.
Thank you very much, Mr. Chair. Mr. Chair, follow up to the honorable member. Can the honorable member say whether monies were paid for the cases that I made mention of earlier, and when the first 50% of those funds were paid, and secondly, whether there are agreements between the Attorney General office and that of the retained lawyer.
Honorable Attorney General, I think you've answered.
No, but let me,
but
Mr.
you have an opportunity
No,
to.
Mr. Speaker, what is under consideration here are the budget estimates for the year 2025. I am not here to answer questions hitherto, but in futuro only. My colleague has another facility to ask those questions. She did ask questions of that nature, but she didn't ask it properly during the course of last year.
You wouldn't like to know
So
what I
the
have.
answers that I gave to her is not the answers that she wanted, simply because she didn't ask the question that should have been asked.
Mr. Chair, through you, thank you very much, Mr. Chair. Can the honorable member say to this National Assembly, can he provide a status whether the cases that I've alluded to earlier, for which monies were paid for, whether these cases are still ongoing or whether they have concluded?
Honorable H.
Mr. Speaker, whether a case is pending in the High Court or not has nothing to do with these estimates. These estimates are for monies that I have to account to the people of Guyana for spending for the year 2025. And I believe that I have adequately discharged that burden and responsibility.
Thank you very much, AG.
Thank you,
Honorable
sir.
Member Mr. Mahipon.
Thank you, sir. Sir, a follow-up from the Honorable Geeta Chandan Edmonds' earlier question concerning the legislation, the bills to come to the National Assembly. The Honorable Attorney General alluded to 50 bills. May I ask him, in keeping with the PPPC's manifesto, if we will have a political campaigning finances bill before the National Assembly among those 50?
Mr. Speaker,
Honorable AG.
yes, sir. Thank you, sir. Throughout these debates, beginning with the budget speech of my distinguished brother, Dr. Ashley Singh, we have repeatedly said that every single promise that we have made will be delivered. And that's how I will answer that question, sir.
Thank you, AG. Honorable Member Ms. Ferguson.
Thank you very much, Mr. Chair. Mr. Chair, through you, to the honorable member. Line item 6294, 6294, other. I note last year you expended 1.787, and this year you're actually requesting a smaller amount of some 180,000. Can the honorable member say, what they what this amount will be utilized for, if you can provide a disaggregation, and whether this is enough, and whether any monies from this line item will be expended to purchase Christmas gifts at the end of the year. Thank you very much.
Honorable Prime Minister.
And I'm happy that the questions are coming. This is being streamed live on NCN, right? Sir, the very paltry sum that is stated there in the grand scheme of $1.4 trillion budget will cater for some law students from the University of Guyana, whom we normally accommodate every year to do an in-service program, and we pay them a small stipend of $40,000 each.
Thank you, AG. Honorable Member Ms. Amanzo Walton Dizzy.
Thank you. Thank you, Mr. Chair. Mr. Attorney General, line item, Mr. Chair, line item 6321. Subsidies and contributions to local organizations. Now, the details of those subsidies, it shows an allocation of 218 million to the Constitutional Reform Commission. Honorable Attorney General, could you advise the House as to whether the budget for the CRC has been approved in keeping with the requirements of the Act?
Honorable Attorney General.
Your Honor, the budget was submitted to the Ministry of Finance. We did not get an opportunity to pass it through the Constitutional Reform Standing Committee. And, sir, I plan at the earliest opportunity to have the committee stamp upon it its ex post facto approval. So the honorable member is correct in identifying a procedural hiccup, let me put it that way.
Thank you.
Thank you,
Ms.
Mr. Chair. By way of
MP.
follow-up, Honorable Attorney General, this seems to be more than a procedural lapse. It's actually in direct contravention of Section 13 of the Act. And so we're in the area of being in breach of our own act that we passed in this National Assembly. I'll move on. Mr. Chair, through you, the Act also provides that the Commission, within the first month of its first meeting, ought to submit to the committee its methodology and its timeframes. To the best of your knowledge, has that been done?
That has not been done, and Honorable Mahipal can advise you that Mr. Sherwood Lowe is heading a subcommittee that's planning the agenda. Currently, I believe Mr. Mahipal is a member of that committee as well. They have not completed that task, so that requirement has not been satisfied.
Mr. Chair,
Go ahead.
to the best of my knowledge, through you, Mr. Lowe was appointed last week to head this committee. I therefore am wondering, what is the basis upon which we arrived at this number? We couldn't have plucked it out of thin air, could we? The allocation, the 218 million, what does the Constitutional Reform Commission envisage that it will be doing that will cost us 218 million?
Well, a budget was submitted, and it includes a number of, first of all, you have the payment of stipend for the chairperson and the members of the commission, and then you have the activities, though they have not been planned, they have been projected for. Though they have not been formally planned, Mr. Mahipal will concur with me, that Honorable Member Mahipal will concur with me that we have planned a program that will bring the commission in contact with experts from the Caribbean and further afield. In fact, that was a suggestion that came from Mr. Sherwood Lowe. Also, there is a public awareness initiative that the Commission has decided to launch to bring public awareness to the citizenry on the importance of the Constitution, to educate our citizens about the provisions of the Constitution, and perhaps most importantly, the nature and purport of the constitutional reform exercise. As you are aware, a large part of the constitutional reform program will be the public engagement in a consultative process across the length and breadth of our country. And that will require the commission members and the commission secretariat to travel throughout Guyana to hold public hearings so that we can elicit the testimony, for want of a better word, of the members of the public for the preparation of the report. So all of that is catered for here. We don't know how much of it will be accomplished. As you know, 10 members of the Constitutional Reform Commission are politicians, and this is an election year, and I want to be candid with you. So I don't know how much work will be, how much of those outreaches, but every effort, no doubt, will be made to ensure that the work of the Commission is proceeded with alacrity.
Thank you, Honorable AG. Mr. Chair, just one follow-up. Do you
Go ahead.
have a hard stop date as to when these activities are projected to begin? For example, the public outreach, is there a month? Can we anticipate that by March we will start seeing the rollout of this, or that hasn't been decided as yet?
Please appreciate that I am a singular member of a commission, and I am speaking on behalf of the commission, and I don't want to commit the commission to a course that they have not agreed upon. What I can assure you, and again, the Honorable Member Mahipal can corroborate me, is that we are in the process of working out that very schedule. I can't say, I can't put time frame to the exercise.
Thank
But-
you, AG.
Yeah.
Honorable members, Honorable Member Mr. Rabo Hali.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. A quick follow-up to the Attorney General, and please guide me, I may be off. The question, the question for you, sir, is based on 6284 and what was said previously, is there if it is that there is a current or possibly in this year, a private matter between a member of your government and some individual, does the 6284 allow for monies to be spent from it to deal with a private matter?
Honorable AG.
No, not a private matter. A private matter between two private citizens will not be paid for by the state.
Noted. So, okay, so I wanted one person is a government minister. Does that matter no longer be deemed private because the person is a minister, or what?
No, no, when I say a private individual, I mean a minister is a public officer.
Okay, so any case, once it's been deemed to be a minister, the matter is no longer considered private, and so the funding can't come from the Attorney General's,
In,
from that 6284.
it depends on a case-to-case basis. There are
Okay.
private matters that are purely private that the state doesn't get involved with. But if a minister is sued
Yes.
or wishes to sue in respect of the performance of his or her official duties, then the state will pay for that. Just like every public servant, any public officer, if you drive the government vehicle on the road and you make an accident, the Attorney General appears for you. Every police officer in this country, when they go out to execute their duty and they are accused of wrongdoing and they are sued, the Attorney General appears. The same principle applies to the ministers of the government. There is no differentiation or no priority in treatment. Neither is there any discrimination in treatment.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Follow up, Mr. Chair.
Go ahead.
So, before I ask this question, are you familiar with the Gale and Burke matter? Gale versus Burke. Are you familiar with that particular case?
It's a Burke versus Gale, not
Yes.
Gale versus Burke.
Sorry, Burke versus Gale. So you are familiar with it. Would you consider that to be a private matter or a public matter for the Attorney General's chambers?
Honorable AG.
Mr. Burke chose to sue Minister Gale Teixeira in relation to a statement that Minister Gale Teixeira made in her official capacity as a minister of the government.
Thank you, sir.
So that
Just wanted to
obviously
confirm
is
that.
not a private matter.
Thank you, sir.
Thank
Mr.
you,
Chairman.
Attorney General.
Chairman.
Honorable Member Mr. Mahi Paul.
Thank you, sir. Sir, from this sum 6284, $424,715,000, the compensation to the family of Orrin Boston, that $24 million, is it being paid from this line?
Honorable Minister.
No. The Ministry of Finance has a special account from which judgments are normally paid.
Thank you, AG. Honorable members, I now put the
Mr. Chair.
question.
Mr. Chair.
This Honorable Member Mr. Jones.
Thank you. Mr. Chair, the AG has, please crave my indulgence. Follow up to the question posed by MP Sarabo. My question is, if a member of the public intends to sue a member of parliament, whether opposition or government, would the AG office then come into play to represent that MP?
Honorable Attorney General.
No, if that member of parliament is a minister of the government, then the AG will represent that person.
Thank you very much, Attorney General, for clarifying that. Honorable members, I now put a question that the sum stated for Program 523 current expenditure stands part of the estimates. Those in favor say aye. Those against say no. Ayes have it, sum stated now stands part of the estimates. Honorable members, turn to pages 280 and 281, and I propose the question that the sum stated for Program 524 current expenditure stands part of the estimates. The Honorable Member, Ms. Geeta Chandan. Honorable members, I now put a question that the sum stated for Program 524 current stands part of the estimates. Those in favor say aye. Those against say no. Ayes have it. Sum stated now stands part of the estimates. Honorable members, please turn to page 590. And I propose the question that the sum stated for program 521 capital expenditure stands part of the estimates. I now put a question that the sum stated, Honorable Member Mr. Mahipon.
Sir, just a confirmation, under line item 120, 1300, that this project for the fire escape and trestle is at the Ministry of Legal Affairs building on, I think it's Carmichael Street.
Unfortunately, we only have one building.
Honorable members, I now put a question that the sum stated for program 521 capital expenditure stands part of the estimates. Those in favor say aye. Those against say no. Ayes have it. The sum stated now stands part of the estimates. Program 523 capital. I propose the question that the sum stated herein stands part of the estimates. I now put a question that the sum stated for program 523 capital stands part of the estimates. Those in favor say aye. Those against say no. Ayes have it. The sum stated now stands part of the estimates. For program 524 capital, I propose the question that the sum stated herein stands part of the estimates. I put a question that the sum stated for program 524 capital stands part of the estimates. Those in favor say aye. Those against say no. Ayes have it. The sum stated now stands part of the estimates. Thank you, Honorable Attorney General and your staff, for taking us through your agency at 40 minutes past the hour of 8. We have saved 20 minutes on this
Thank you, sir, and
particular
thank you to
agency.
the honorable members who participated. Thank you.
Thank you, thank you. Let us now invite the Honorable Minister of Foreign Affairs and International Cooperation and his staff for Agency 12th, Ministry of Foreign Affairs and International Cooperation. As they get in place, honorable members, let us please look at pages 102 and 103. Take some solace, Honorable Minister. You and I share the same worst label.
From the other side.
I didn't say. Honorable members, I now propose the question that for Agency 12, Ministry of Foreign Affairs and International Cooperation, Program 121, Development of Foreign Policy, Current Expenditure, that the sum stated herein stands part of the estimates. Honorable Member, Ms. Amanza Walton Dizio.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Mr. Tal, I just have a few questions for you this evening. Line item 6116. I'm just interested in the contracted employees. It has increased from 49 to 60. So I was wondering the level of the staff, particular expertise of staff contracted.
Mr. Chairman, honorable member, these are for the foreign service officers that we've recruited, 5 of them for the year so far. Well, last year.
Honorable Member.
Thank you. Line item 6284, Mr. Chair, other?
Sorry, Mr. Chair, that will be 11, not 5.
11.
11 FSOs.
Yes.
Honorable Member, 6284, you were on?
Todd said five. I didn't say five. Mr. Chair, 6284, other. I'd be grateful if the Honorable Minister could disaggregate that amount, that sum there for us, thanks.
Honorable Minister?
Mr. Chairman, we have payment of legal fees, advocacy, public diplomacy, and public relations activities, diaspora engagement and outreaches, digitalization of the ministry's records, bank charges and remittances to overseas missions, IT infrastructure, which includes software application, antivirus, firewall, Adobe, and client access, operational expenditure in keeping with the 2025 spending mandate.
Thank you, Minister.
Thank you.
Honorable
Mr. Chair, I
Member?
have a follow-up. Y'all remember reference the digitization of the records. Could y'all remember advise as to how long is that project? Because we budgeted for that last year. Do you have a timeline in terms of, are you doing the backlog and then continuous digitization? And when do you envision that you'll finish that backlog?
Mr. Chairman,
Honorable
yes,
Minister?
we were generally paper-based, so we're trying to digitize all of our records, and we have a lot of important information that we need to digitize. I can't give you a timeline now, but I can probably furnish you with that later.
Thank you, Minister.
Just another follow-up to what the Honorable Minister said. He referenced public relations. And, Mr. Todd, I've been very vocal about our international PR as it relates to Venezuela. Is there a program? Is there a PR firm retained internationally that sort of pilots a PR campaign for Guyana in the context of our Venezuela controversy?
Minister?
Mr. Chairman, for the international firms, that is covered under advocacy, but we also have an in-house PR committee that we use locally for our PR campaign, and we do have a program.
Okay.
MP?
I have one other follow-up. Line item 6322, subsidies and contributions to international organizations. Earlier, the Honorable Cathy Hughes had posed a question to the Prime Minister about the dues to the CTU, etc. Now, there's a list of bodies that have been outlined, but the CTU, the ITU, they're not there. Is there any particular reason why? That's the first question. And what is the methodology that is used? Is it as these organizations submit invoices? How is it determined?
Mr. Chairman,
Minister?
it's not covered under our program agency description. Maybe the Prime Minister can shed some more light on that.
Ask you. Hugh.
It's not covered here. I can probably update you on that.
Honorable Minister?
I'm advised that page 4724, volume 1, has a breakdown of
I
all of
know,
the
I checked the
estimates.
breakdown, which is why I'm asking.
You're not seeing it there. It's not covered under our ministry, but we can, as government, provide you the information.
All right, my last question on this in terms of PR. Last year, you indicated that you had plans to roll out an education campaign in the areas close to the border, in those regions. Is there such a plan this year, and are you able to tell us, or lay over for us, either one, those particular areas that you plan to visit this year in pursuit of that education plan?
Mr. Chairman,
Honorable
oh yes,
Minister.
so we plan to cover regions 1, 2, 7, 8, and 9 with priority areas. And we also do some work in region in on the coastline itself, particularly in region 4 as well.
Honorable members, I now put the question that the sum stated for program 121, current expenditure on the agency 12, stands part of the estimates. Those in favor say aye. Those against say no. Ayes have it, sum stated stands part of the estimate. Please turn to pages 104 and 105. And I propose the question that the sum stated for program 122, foreign policy promotion current expenditure, stands part of the estimates. The honorable member, Ms. Walton Desir.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. On the issue of training, line item 6302, could the honorable member indicate the allocated sum, what it's for exactly? I notice you have scholarships in brackets there. And does that also cater for the Foreign Service Institute?
Mr. Chairman, this
Go ahead,
covers
Minister.
the diplomats at post, language training, professional development, and consular affairs training.
Thank you, Minister. Honorable member.
Could the honorable minister indicate to us then the line item under which they make provision for the Foreign Service Institute in terms of training? If not that line item, which training heading?
Minister.
Mr. Chairman, that's under program 16302.
Thank you.
Go ahead, honorable member.
Yes, line item 6261. It's not a drastic difference in what is budgeted, but could the honorable minister explain to us the local travel and subsistence, the 85 million? Just a quick breakdown of that, thanks.
Honorable member. Honorable minister.
Mr. Chairman, this is what has been budgeted for our overseas missions.
Thank you, Minister. Honorable member. Honorable member, Mr. Figuera.
Thank you, sir. Minister, line item 628 for order. This allocation here, I want to know with regards to the work of the embassies abroad, because when I was in Suriname, I had an opportunity to engage with the ambassador there, and he was saying that
I like the
the
code.
ministry also is taking the opportunity to promote the Guyanese products at the respective embassies. Is this line, I think, going to be catering for that with the promotion of Guyanese products? So when foreign dignitaries visit the embassy, our products are exposed to them to open markets in the countries where we have embassies there.
Minister.
Mr. Chairman, that's catered for under 6294.
That one. Okay. But on the 6294, is this program of promotion of Guyanese products done at all of the missions we have overseas?
That's correct, Mr. Chairman.
Thank you.
Thank you, Minister. Honorable member, Ms. Ferguson.
Thank you very much, Mr. Chair. Mr. Chair, may I turn the honorable member attention to line item 6281, security services. I note we have a large increase here for 2025 as against what was budgeted and passed in 2024. Can the honorable member explain to the House the reason behind the increase and which area or areas in the Foreign Service Ministry will be benefiting from this allocation?
Honorable Minister.
Mr. Chairman, this is to cater for the appointment of heads of mission that will require 24-hour security.
Thank you very much. Honorable Member, Ms. Karen, Dr. Karen Cummins.
I have two questions for the minister. One, under 6284, of course, you did mention that the question that Honorable Member Figueroa asked, you said it's 6294. But 6284, the increase of about 71 million, could you disaggregate the figure? What is it for?
Honorable Minister.
Mr. Chairman, bank charges, advocacy, public relations services, legal and consultancy, upgrade and maintenance of website, operational expenditure, insurance of diplomatic staff, residences, and chancery.
Thank you, Minister. Honorable
The
Member.
other question, it has to do with the indicator, the number or offers received from the diaspora in support of national development. Do you have a list of the skills set that will could help to develop the country? Persons from the diaspora, what have they offered? What are some of the skills that they have offered that will benefit the country?
Honorable Minister.
So, Mr. Chairman, there's a broad array of expertise that we have identified: health, engineering, architecture, and on the services side, you have a lot of persons who have competency in hospitality and hotel management.
Thank you, Minister. Honorable Member, Ms. Ferguson.
Thank you very much, Mr. Chair. Mr. Chair, with your permission, can I put line items 6271 to 6273 all together, or we should do them singularly?
Let's do them line by line.
Okay, thank you very much, sir. Can I turn the honorable member attention to 6271, telephone and internet charges? I note we have a large increase from 41 million to 70 million. Can the honorable member explain the reason for these increases?
Minister.
So, Mr. Chairman, this is owing to the appointment of the heads of mission, and also for our Security Council seat on the Security Council. We have an entire outfit to cater for that.
Thank you very much, Mr. Minister, for your explanation. Line item through you, Mr.
Go ahead.
Chair, 6272, electricity charges. I also recognize we have a great increase from 2024 to 2025. What would have occasioned the increase for 2025?
Minister.
Mr. Chairman, the explanation is similar to what I just gave prior. The heads Security Council.
All right. Mr. Chair, I wouldn't put the other line item 6273 because I guess I'll get the same responses as I got for 6271 and 6272 respectively. Thank you very much. I have no further question for the honorable member.
Thank you, honorable member. Honorable member, Mr. Figueroa.
Thank you, Colonel Chair. Honorable Minister, same line item 6294. Guyanese who are looking at this program right now and were unaware that the ministry gives Guyanese products such exposure in the different missions around the world, but they have a product that they're producing. How can they get their product to be advertised in whichever respective mission that the ministry facilitates these products? I know Guyana, the Guyana
Mr.
market
Chairman,
store. Yeah.
We work in collaboration with Go Invest as well. They provide a lot of expert advice on promotion. So there's a strong relationship there. Apart from that, the heads of mission are also the chief promoter of our trade and investment as well. And coupled with that, we also have advisors.
No, I'm asking for, say, are you local producer of planting chips in Linden, for example, were unaware that this is being done by the mission, but they want to have their product be exposed, like Bihari's chow mein that is in all of the missions. How can they have an opportunity as well for the ministry to consider their product to also be given such exposure? Because they were unaware that this actually happens. Is there a website they could go and find out and get additional information? How can they know and tap into this opportunity for Guyanese products to give them much more exposure?
We
Let
have,
me understand,
we have the marketing cooperation and we have Go Invest. We work in collaboration with these agencies because at the level of the ministry, we are responsible for policy, trade policy, but we also have a responsibility to promote products which we use, whereby we use the agencies to help us to promote it.
Thank you, Minister. Honorable members, I now put a question that the sum stated for program 123, current expenditure, that the sum stated herein stands part of the estimates. Those in favor say aye. Those against say no. Ayes have it. The sum stated now stands part of the estimates. Honorable members, let me turn your attention to page 489 and let's deal with the capital expenditure. Honorable members, I now propose that the sum stated for program 121 capital expenditure stands part of the estimates. Honorable members, I now put a question that the sum stated for program 121 capital stands part of the estimates. Those in favor say aye. Those against say no. Ayes have it. Sum stated now stands part of the estimates. Program 122 capital, I propose the question that the sum stated herein stands part of the estimates. I put the question that the sum stated for program 122 capital stands part of the estimates. Those in favor say aye. Those against say no. Ayes have it. I now turn your attention to program 123 capital, and I propose the question that the sum stated herein stands part of the estimates. I now put the question that the sum stated for program 123 capital stands part of the estimates. Those in favor say aye. Those against say no. Ayes have it. The sum stated now stands part of the estimates. Honorable member, join me in thanking the Honorable Minister and his staff for taking us through his ministry.
Thank you.
Agency. Thank you,
Thank you,
Minister.
Mr. Chairman. Thank you, colleagues, and thank you to my staff at the Ministry of Foreign Affairs and International Cooperation.
Thank you very much, honorable members. We now invite the Honorable Minister of Amerindian Affairs and her team, her staff, to take us through her agency, which is Agency 16, Ministry of Amerindian Affairs. As the minister and her team gets into place, we have saved 20 minutes on AG, and we have saved, uh, 39 minutes on foreign affairs. So we are now at 59 minutes of savings. Confirmed by our staff, Ricky. Honorable members, let's turn to pages 130 and 131. And I propose the question that the sum stated for Agency 16, Ministry of Amerindian Affairs, Program 161, Policy Development and Administration, current expenditure. And I propose the question that the sum stated herein stands part of the estimates. The Honorable Member, Ms. Lawrence.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Mr. Chair, if the Honorable Minister could just turn with me to volume 2, page 106. The objective speaks of, in the second to last line, managing efficiently the available human, financial, and physical resources critical to the successful administration of the ministry's operation. Honorable Minister, could you kindly tell this House when we will see the amendment to the Amerindian Act of 2006, which will make provision for the operation of the Amerindian Purpose Fund?
Honorable Minister.
Mr. Speaker, I didn't get the first part of the question or the beginning of the question.
Honorable Member, can you repeat, please?
Sure, Mr. Chairman. Honorable Minister, I'm looking at your objective on this page, which speaks to the managing efficiently the availability of human, financial, etc., for the successful administration of the ministry's operation. And I'm asking you, when will we see in this House the amendment to the Amerindian Act of 2006, which will make provision for the operation of the Amerindian Purpose Fund? And I'm asking that in tandem with the Auditor General's report, which speaks to the omission of this particular fund in the Act.
Thank you.
Honorable Minister.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Mr. Chair, the Ministry of Amerindian Affairs is currently addressing the issue of the revision of the Amerindian Act. We are not yet completed. We are in, it's a work in progress, and we'll look at it at that time. So I don't have an exact date or exact time, but we are actually addressing the review and the revision of the Amerindian Act.
Thank you, Minister. Honorable Member, Ms.
Thank you,
Lawrence.
Mr. Chair. Just a follow-up on the same fund. While you are attending to the amendments of the Act, I would like to know what progress has been made in terms of the reconciliation of the cash book, because the fund is still active. So where is the ministry in terms of the reconciliation of the cash book?
I'm advised that work is progressing on the reconciliation, and they expect to finish it this year.
Thank you, Minister. Honorable members, I now put a question that the sum stated for Program 161, current expenditure, stands part of the estimates. Those in favor say aye. Those against say no. Ayes have it. Sum stated now stands part of the estimates. Honorable members, let us turn to pages 132 and 133. And I propose the question that the sum stated for program 162, current expenditure, stands part of the estimates. The Honorable Member, Ms. Dawn Hastings Williams.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Through you, let me direct the Honorable Minister to page 104 of Volume 2. I observe or noted that you have listed under your activity land conflict resolution. That's one of the activities that you have listed there. Comma Chair, it is public knowledge that there is an ongoing conflict between miners and two of our indigenous communities, namely Isineru and the Chinese landing. Question to you, Honorable Minister. Do you have a subcommittee in your ministry which deals directly with issue as such?
Honorable Minister.
Mr. Chairman, the Amerindian Act is very clear. We have a very simple process that addresses the titling of land, the demarcation of land, and of course the sponsoring or the support for the financial expenditure dealing with land titling and demarcation. With respect to the issue on the Chinese landing and the matter, these matters have gone through the court system, and I think that the Chinese landing is still within the courts.
Thank you, Minister.
And just to add, Mr. Chairman, that these issues have been dealt with domestically, meaning that all the sectors involved have had supporting advice, guidance, and worked with these communities. The communities opt to go to the court, so we will have to allow the court to stay its course.
Thank you, Minister. Honorable Member? Honorable Members, I know. Honorable Member, Ms. Dawn?
Thank you, thank you, Minister. On same page, on 104, you also have as your activities listed on the land titling, extension, demarcation, titling, and the one that I just referred to, land conflict resolution. Could the Honorable Minister say to this House how many extensions were completed and granted in 2024? Second question, how many communities were demarcated? And how many communities received their titles for 2020?
Honorable Minister.
Just to confirm the years, you were referring to 2020 to 2024 or 2024?
2024.
2020. 2020. 2024. Oh. Okay. Thank you, Mr. Chair. We've done 2 surveys in 2024, Karasabai, and we've completed finally Arrow after waiting for a long time for them to give us approval for the activity. For the absolute grant for 2024, absolute grant means extension included, because they've had their absolute grant, but these are extensions, and they have to have the absolute grant before surveys too. So Hobadiah, Hotakwai, Red Hill, Akwini, Mokomoka, Sawariwao. Additionally, 7 demarcation were completed.
Thank you, Minister. Honorable Member.
Mind you, Mr. Chairman, this is in 1 year, not 5 years.
Thank you, Minister. Honorable Member, Ms. Ferguson.
Thank you very much, Mr. Chair. Mr. Chair, through you to the honorable member, may I turn your attention to line item 6291, national and other events. I note you have a request for $205 million as against what was given in 2024, 151,277 as revised. Can the honorable member explain the reason for the increase and which communities are likely to benefit from this year's allocation? Thank you.
Honorable Minister.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Mr. Chair, the $205 million is the expenditure for the heritage celebration. Our government, since 1992, has recognized that Amerindian culture, tradition, and customs play a very important part in the fabric and tapestry of our country. And so we continue to invest and to increase the investments. The increase will take into consideration the attendance of culture group from Brazil, Suriname, and Belize. We will only cater for their in-country expenses. So we're going to expand our culture to international. We've done it before in our previous term. So since we came back, COVID affected us, and now we're totally, fully integrated in a less COVID environment.
Thank you very much. Mr. Chair?
Go ahead, Honorable
Okay, I just want to remind the honorable member that Burnham loved the Amerindian people. So I just want you to know that.
Especially elections time.
So I'll turn your attention now to line item 6302, training, including scholarship. I note we had an approved sum of 81 million was expended in 2024. But you're now requesting $128 million. Can you say who will be benefiting from this allocation and what areas of training the beneficiaries will be exposed to? Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Mr. Chairman, 6302 caters for our scholarship students that ranges from national scholarship to regional scholarship. The increase cater for the expansion of the extracurricular activities for these young students and career development programs now.
Okay. Thank you very much, Madam Minister. All right. Okay, I'll ask the last question. On the very line, item 6302, can you say how many young people will be benefiting from this allocation? The number.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Mr. Chair, I wish to say that our target is 804 students, and these are scholarship students who are eligible and meet the requirements for scholarship program.
Thank you, Minister. Honorable Member, Mr. Hill. Honorable Member, Mr. Hill. Honorable Member, Mr. Hill.
Okay, thank you, Chair. 6284. Can the Honorable Minister say how much of this sum allocated is dedicated towards supporting the families of the 21 Amerindian youths who perished in the Madhya Secondary Dormitory fire?
Honorable Minister.
Mr. Chairman, I believe that every question is a good question, but in this case, the honorable member question is irrelevant to the allocation at hand.
Thank you, Minister. Honorable Member, Mr. Henry.
Honorable Minister, through the chair, can you say what is the current and actual staff in the Welfare Department of the Ministry of Amerindian Affairs that executes the activities of this department? Under the same line.
Speaker, under the same line item, it's a different line item. It's in current budget program 1. If you will allow me to go back, maybe I will do so. But we've gone past there. This has to do with allocation to support those who are sent out to Georgetown for tertiary level health support, and the ministry
Thank you, Minister.
takes care of them.
Honorable Member, Mr. Henry. Honorable Member, Ms. Hastings-Williams.
Thank you, Common Chair. Let me direct your attention to 6292 dietary. You have allocated monies to the tune of 108.7 million. Could the Honorable Minister say which institutions or organizations will benefit from this allocation?
Honorable Minister.
Mr. Chairman, thank you. The estimate or the allocation caters for dietary for the Amerindian residents and the hinterland scholarship dormitories.
Thank you, Minister. Member Hastings-Williams.
Thank you, Common Chair. Follow-up question, Minister. There have been some concerns and complaints about students and the patients who stays at these institutions. The meals that are provided probably inadequate. My question to you, what mechanisms do you have in place to monitor, to ensure that the children and the patients, whoever they are, not shortchanged and that they are receiving nutritious meals?
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Mr. Chairman, the Member of Parliament might be out of touch with the realities of the return of the People's Progressive Party Civic, and she is reminded about the complaints during the 5 years preceding us returning. The mechanism in place at the student dorms, we have a daily menu chart, and at the residence, we have just finished renovating the kitchen, and our staff there is very much under, monitoring by the administrator with regards to meals. In terms of allocation for the provision of the dietary items, we have never had to come back to this institution for supplemental. Hopefully we won't have this year, but we are providing adequate food items. And to extend it, 3 days of the week, we are providing indigenous food items too. Farine, cassava bread, and the indigenous type of menu.
Thank you, Minister. Honorable Member, Ms. Dawn Hastings-Williams.
Thank you, Common Chair. Thank you for your answer, Minister. I had asked about your monitoring process, right, for these things. So I was hoping that you could have given me a follow-up question on the Hinterland Scholarship students. Could you inform this House what is the amount or the stipend or pocket allowance? I knew it when I was a scholarship for the students, and do they receive it on a monthly basis, a quarterly basis, and if not, what is hindering you from the children receiving their pocket allowance monthly and on time?
The pocket allowance by students, the scholarship students, is $4,000 per month. The national scholarship students receive it here in the city. The regional scholarship students' allocation is warranted to the region. And I have had not many, in the early period when I came in 2020, there were some hiccups. And I've ensured that the two scholarship education welfare officers track every payment, because we are not in charge of payment per se. We warrant it to the region, because the regional scholarship students are at regional schools located in the particular region, and so the administration, the regional administration, take care of that. But I can assure you, I track it myself, and through the PS also, because I'm very strict on it, and they have to provide the evidence that the warrant is sent in adequate time. I've also instructed both officers, where there's connectivity, WhatsApp and find out from the parents and alert them the money has been warranted, so they will start making the preparation to collect.
Thank you, Minister. Honorable members, I now put a question that is some state.
Sir.
Honorable Member, Mr. Cox.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Good evening to the Honorable Minister of Amerindian Affairs and her staff. A follow-up question on dietary. I didn't hear the Honorable Minister answer the question asked by my colleague Hastings Williams. So I want to ask, at the Hinterland Dormitory, do you have a trained nutritionist who works with the staff there, of course, at the kitchen to ensure that nutritious meals, like was asked previously, is provided on a daily basis for students? And I'm asking this because I spoke recently, as recent as like 2 weeks ago, with persons who were there to visit their relatives, and indeed they complain about the quality of meals being prepared. There's no doubt. Are we not making this thing up? And so do you have that person who monitors the provision of these meals? Thank you.
Honorable Minister.
Mr. Chair, I would have liked if at the time the complaint was made, if there was indeed a factual complaint and not a make-up or fake complaint, for it to be directed to the school welfare officer, education officer, who is on the spot at the dormitory, or even the administrative staff, or contact us. I don't have a trained nutritionist, but the meals are the meals that are common to Guyanese and common to this country. The students themselves are, during their time with the living in the hostel, are also participating in their free times to be in the kitchen looking on and learning a few things too. In addition to that, I'm very proud to say that while we may have constraints in transportation, the number of buses we have to deliver meals, this institution, the secondary school dormitory, deliver lunch for all our children. They don't have to go hungry. They leave with a solid breakfast and they come back. They have mid-morning and they have snacks also. And in fact, I'm very proud, if you want to look at some of the photographs where the students are engaged in learning during their spare time, making pastries and so on. We're not putting them to work. It is a session we do. It's an extracurriculum session within the institution itself.
Thank you, Minister. Honorable members, I now put a question that is sum stated for program 162. Current expenditure stands part of the estimates. Those in favor say aye. Those against say no. Ayes have it. Sum stated now stands part of the estimates. I invite you to turn to page 498. Honorable members, I propose the question that the sum stated for agency 16, Program 161, Capital Expenditure stands part of the estimates. The Honorable Member, Ms. Dawn Hastings Williams.
Thank you, Chair. Through you again, 1400100, project code Amerindian Development Fund. Could the Honorable Minister disaggregate the allocations for the 3 projects that she has outlined under the description of projects? You have 1, YEAP, 2, presidential grants, and 3, the Amerindian Development Projects and Programs.
Mr. Chairman, I think the member has skipped Program 1 because you've put Program 1. We are not yet at Program 2, Capital.
Thank you, Minister. I now put a question that is sum stated for Honorable Member, Ms. Dawn Hastings Williams.
Thank you, Committee Chair. I'll now redirect my question that I just asked.
Honorable Members, I now put a question that is sum stated for Program 161 Capital. There's a sum stated herein now stands part of the estimates. Those in favor say aye. Those against say no. Ayes have it. Sum stated now stands part of the estimates. Honorable Members, I propose a question that for Program 162 Capital, that the sum stated herein now stands part of the estimates. The Honorable Member, Ms. Dawn Hastings Williams.
Thank you, Committee Chair. I will repeat my questions. Looking at agency code 1400100, Amerindian Development Fund. Could the Honorable Minister disaggregate the sum for the 3 projects that she has outlined under the description of projects, namely YEAP, presidential grants, and the Amerindian Development Projects and Programs?
Honorable Minister.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. The YEAP program is 1.5 billion. The presidential grant, 532,300,000. And the other one is 2.5, the projects. That's not right. The third one was what? Presidential grant, YEAP. And the what?
Honorable Member, Ms.
projects.
Dawn Hastings Williams, you want to repeat?
No, just the third one. The projects that are catered for under the ADF. Is that what you're asking for?
Yes.
Because it's a long list. And I can go through it if you allow me to.
Honorable Minister, you're allowed.
Was asking her to disaggregate the sum, and she was doing very well. She said 1.5 billion for the YEAP, presidential grants 532 million, and the Amerindian Development Project and Plans would have been the remaining.
Yes. But you don't want to hear the projects. Okay.
You can ask a question who wants to hear. Honorable Minister. Honorable Member, Mr. Henry.
Thank you very much. Mr. Chair, can the Honorable Minister state the amount allocated for the revision of the Amerindian Act for this year, 2025?
Honorable Minister.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. The allocation this year is $80,590,000.
Thank you, Minister. Honorable Member, Mr. Henry.
Yes, Mr. Chair, can the Honorable Minister state a timeline for the presentation of the draft revised Amerindian Act to the indigenous villages of Guyana?
Honorable Minister.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Mr. Chairman, it's a work in progress. We are still addressing the education and awareness component of the activity.
Thank you, Minister.
As soon as we start the consultation, and the full length of the consultation is over, I am pretty sure that those responsible will be provided us with a draft, a first
Thank you,
draft.
Minister.
But we haven't
Thank,
started consultation.
thank you, Minister. Thank Mr. Chair. Can the Honorable Minister of Amerindian Affairs state if the deadline for the completion of the revision of the Amerindian Act will be before the end of the year?
Honorable Minister.
Mr. Speaker, that's a very good but tough question. The Guyanas, hinterland, and Amerindian are located across the 10 administrative regions. And logistically, we would love to have it finished tomorrow, but we have to ensure that we stand to the commitment this government made, the People's Progressive Party civic government, to consult in every Amerindian village. So that will take us a pretty long time, but we have efficient facilitators, we've trained facilitators, we have expert supporting us from both the legal fraternity. In fact, the AG office has been very supportive of pushing this activity forward, and I'm sure that we will be able to revise. But not in I wouldn't say not in 2025, because we're still dealing with the awareness. And again, as a leader, as a politician, the honorable member will know that even if you go to a village and you speak to the ordinary villagers, some of them still don't even know what are the specific clauses relevant to a situation that they may be facing. And for us to have a dialogue, a conversation, and to ensure that we have good recommendation, learned recommendation, informative recommendation by the people, we have to complete this component.
Thank you, Minister.
Thank you.
Member, Mr. Henry.
Mr. Chair, what we got there is that it will not be completed in 2025. Thank you. Mr. Chair, under the same heading there, can the Honorable Minister of Amerindian Affairs inform the House of the number of CSOs who are registered at the beginning of the CSO program in 2020? And can the Minister say how many youths are currently enrolled?
You may need to rephrase that, because we're speaking to the allocation here.
Honorable Minister, can you state how many CSOs are currently on the CSO program?
Honorable Minister.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Mr. Chair, the CSO is a very successful program, and for 2024, the expected figure will be 2,759.
Thank you very much, Minister.
The Honorable Member, Mr. Henry.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Honorable Minister, can you state the process by which, when CSO leaves the program and another one is taken on board, whether or not his or her name will be removed from the pay sheet? And if not, what is the process?
Honorable Minister.
Mr. Chairman, thank you. When anyone leaves the CSO, our MDOs have informed, or the concept and the rule, I said the rule, is that they give a month notice. But there are instances when a month notice is not forthcoming. And when anyone leaves the CSO program within the particular month and works for about 5 days or 7 days, their name will still be on that month pay sheet because they've worked. All right? When they are no longer working with the CSO and they're off the CSO program, whether it's by their own will or whether they have opted to go into a different profession, their name will not appear on the pay sheet.
Thank you, Minister.
Thank you very much, Mr. Speaker. In terms of tractors, Can the Honorable Minister say if more tractors will be purchased in this year's budget? Added on to the 204 tractors which she mentioned in her regional budget speech. And were said to have been distributed to the villages. And, Mr. Chair, can the Minister state the status of the inordinate amount of tractors and trailers that were seen in December 2024, some covered by dry vines in the compound of the Liliandal Students' Hostel?
Honorable Minister.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Mr. Chairman, our government, with respect to supporting the development of agriculture and food security in the hinterland, we see the indigenous or the Amerindian villages as one of the key players in this work. And we have supported them by providing tractors not only for agricultural purposes, but for road building and for transportation needs within the village, and sometimes externally, because they use it to come from the south to Letem. When they want to come to exhibition, they put the produce and they come to the Rupununi Rodeo and exhibit, or the Rupununi Expo. So it's a very useful multi-purpose machinery. With respect to the status, the Tushau's, or the village council, which receive this piece of machinery, is responsible for good care, for maintenance, and of course, for the use of the tractor. Government will support, but government cannot spoon feed all of the time. But I will tell you that there are challenges by some villages who may have need for repairs and who have not maintained well their tractor. Our ministry has a list of those areas. I was just asking for the list, but they didn't walk with it, that we are supporting in terms of repairs and maintenance. In fact, the provider of the tractors is involved in assisting in this task. I am pleased to announce also that we have trained more than 100 tractor drivers, providing them with licensed, certified driver's license, so that they can be able to use this machinery and the implements in a very professional manner. This year, we will continue to add to the 100+ drivers. And so we've come a long way. In terms of the status of how many tractors are there in the compound? These tractors, we have moved mountains to get them, for example, to Arau. And I can give you the experience of taking a tractor to Arau. We have to cut the tractor, take it apart, and split it in two. Then we have to get the army caravan that is big enough to take these heavy pieces of equipment that is dismantled. Then we have to land it at Kaikan. And then we have to take another mechanic to go and reassemble all the parts that have been taken off, and then we have to boat it down. All of the cost of government to the village. And that is only one example of how we transport our tractors. In other places, it takes grueling months, because you will understand that in the hinterland, they're not all-weather roads everywhere. And sometimes the road link is not only about road, it's a mix of road and water. Don, who comes from Region 7, will know too that to get a tractor in Kako or to get a tractor in Jawala, it's very, very smart working.
Thank you, Mr. Chair.
From Georgetown by road.
Honorable Minister, will those tractors be sent or taken to those villages? And if so, how much money have you put aside for that purpose?
We only have 2 tractors, and they are there for training purposes. we do tractor driving, so we also have tractors there that we'll use for training the drivers.
Well, thank you. Well, I must say, if you have moved out like nearly 30 tractors within the last 2 months, excellent, and I would say thanks
I will
for
take
that.
you there.
Mr. Chair, next question, please. Is there any funds in this amount here for revising according to requests by villages, the lands being granted to them as revision of their lands? For example, Sawariwao. Sawariwao is saying that they have not received what they asked for, and they are very upset about it. Even their ranches are out of the extension at this time. Is there any funds that can be used to correct that?
Thank you, Minister.
Mr. Chair?
Go ahead.
Thank you very much. Mr. Chair, it's not irrelevant, but I may have to give a history, if you will allow me. Mr. Chair, for a resident of Region 9, I think the honorable member needs to keep abreast of what is occurring, not only with land, but with development, etc. And I say to him that Sawariwao title has been granted. They have applied for an extension, which will be processed.
Well, but Minister, if I hear him correctly, he's saying that Sawariwa was saying they didn't get what they asked for. And he's implying, is what they asked for included in this allocation?
I will then explain it differently. Sawariwao was a titled and is a titled village. They can only ask for extension. The extension is not yet processed to the point of delivery of a title. But Sawariwao had a unique occurrence. We are in the 60s and 60s. There were an issue with Katunarib being located within Sawariwao's village. That matter has been resolved. Katunarib has received their title, and Sawariwao remain with the remaining of the land which was legally awarded to them and titled to them. So it's not a matter of asking and being unsatisfied. At the current stage, Sawariwao has applied for extension, which the ministry has on its list to address.
Thank you, Minister.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker.
I remember Mr. Henry.
Under the same heading, can the Honorable Minister state whether or not the accrued amount in this year's Amerindian Development Fund includes royalties paid into it as defined by Section 51(3) of the Amerindian Act, which states that the Guyana Geology and Mines Commission shall transfer 20% of the royalties from the mining activities to a fund designated by the Minister for the benefit of Amerindian villages? And if so, what is the amount that was transferred this year and last year, and what is the current status of that fund?
Honorable Minister, go ahead.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Mr. Chair, we're dealing with 2025 budgetary allocation to the Ministry of Amerindian Affairs.
Say yes,
and so again, the member question does not align with our work here this afternoon or this evening.
Honorable Chair, I asked
Thank
a
you very much,
specific
Minister.
question which wasn't answered. Even if the Minister says yes or no, I'll be satisfied. And that is, can the Honorable Minister state whether or not the accrued amount in this year's Amerindian Development Fund, which is here, right, includes royalties paid via the Guyana Geology and Mines Commission? That's the question I asked. So how can it be irrelevant?
Mr. Speaker, again, I maintain that his question is irrelevant. And irrelevant means, you interpret what irrelevant means to the work we're doing here.
Honorable members known as breaklands, we are here to approve expenditure. Revenue is a different aspect. Honorable member, Ms. Dawn Hastings Williams.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Let me take you back to volume 2, Minister, page 105. I see you had as your one of your indicators, percentage of budgetary allocation expended for 2024. I guess you have here 66%. And you are planning to spend 100% for 2025. My question here. Thank you, Comrade Ball. My question to you, what...
We have a deputy assistant speaker. Check online. Honorable Member Ms. Donnie Hastings.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. My question to the Honorable Minister is, what additional support mechanisms do you have in place to achieve 100% spending this year?
Thank you, Mrs.
Honorable Minister.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Mr. Speaker, indeed, looking at this 66 would raise eyebrow. It's a mistake, and it's supposed to be 99 instead of 66.
Oh, you got a 6 for a 9.
Yes, we have 66. It's 99. We have discussed this with finance, and this matter will be changed.
Thank you.
Our PSIP, we attained our target PSIP.
Thank you, Minister.
And it's a current question too, so we might pass it.
She just had to turn around the page and she'd get the right amount. Honorable members, I now put the question. Honorable Member Mr. Cox.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Mr. Chair, when we look at the indicators, Honorable Minister, we see here proportion of villages implementing their village sustainable plans, and it shows 253 in 2024, which represents 100%, and similar target for 2025. Are you saying that there isn't any challenges whatsoever in any of these more than 200 indigenous villages across Guyana? If there is, what are the challenges, and how does your ministry attempt to work with villagers in ensuring that you maintain this 100% target? Thank you.
Honorable Minister.
Mr. Chairman, I see you're becoming very indulgent. We actually gone back to current, and so I will oblige him with the answer. It's where you see here number of village council reporting increased village attendance in meeting. Is that what 254 as opposed to 253? Or is it, or the sustainable development plans? Proportion of village implementing their sustainable development plans. Mr. Speaker, the member would be acquainted with the work of the Ministry of Amerindian Affairs by now. He's been in the Parliament for a couple of years, and he would be acquainted with the capacity of the village council. So yes, there are challenges, and our MDOs, who are technically trained to work with village councils, are responsible and has dedicated their time with the ministry to work along with the village councils. And so there will be instances where a project or two in various regions may not be totally successful, but by and large, we've had major success in the implementation of all the support, financial and otherwise, that we've provided to the villages. Presidential grant, for example, in Region 8, I looked at the records earlier, and the week preceding now, because I don't hear a question from them, but I want to report that 100% of the presidential grant project in that region has been completed. And this can be repeated, but not in the level of 100%. Like I said, in some villages, the capacity of the village council. They also had a challenge of coming in their term, that's the village council, in May last year, which gave them a little lead time where you had to change over bank accounts and learn and decide whether they want to go with the projects. We've been advising village council. It's like when a government change. If it's a good program, just roll it over and bring the benefits to the people. Don't reverse the benefits. And so those are challenges that we have to work with.
Thank you, Minister. Honorable Member, Mr. Cox.
Thank you, Mr. Chair, and thank you, Honorable Minister, for your response. I have a follow-up question on a question asked earlier by Member of Parliament, Mr. Henry, on the revision of the Amerindian Act. And you did mention that there are a few challenges. One you clearly mentioned was, even if you talk to a few ordinary indigenous people, they may have very limited knowledge of what the Amerindian Act actually entails. And you don't see it being completed for 2025, although we probably would have liked to. Well, you did not say clearly that it will or it will not. So let me just say that again, right? So, Mr. Chair, I'm just saying that the Honorable Minister did mention that she cannot say directly if it will or if it will not, although that she would like it to. Now that we both can agree that the revision of the Amerindian Act requires extensive revision, of course, which we clearly see ventilated in the public domain by village representatives. What are your ministry's measures to ensure that these challenges that you did identify are properly addressed so that we can accelerate the revision of the Amerindian Act? Thank you.
Honorable Minister.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Mr. Chair, want to clear one aspect of his assumption or belief. I've never said that there's extensive revision. I said there's going to be extensive consultation, all right, to the revision of the Amerindian Act. With respect to the measures, we continue to do public awareness, and of course, so long as we can cover by mid or a little beyond mid of this year, we will hopefully be happily to launch the full-fledged consultation.
Thank you, Minister. Honorable members, it seems that we are now trying to, on our feet, manufacture some questions. It's a good time to put the question that the sum stated for Program 162, Capital Expenditure, that the sum stated herein stands part of the estimates. Those in favor say aye. Those against say no. Ayes have it. The sum stated now stands part of the estimates. Honorable members, let us thank the Honorable Minister and her staff for taking us through her agency. At 9:55, there are 8 minutes saved on this head, and along with the 59 minutes previously saved, 6 to 7 minutes go over to tomorrow. Let the Assembly resume. So you're not going to come? Honorable Prime Minister.
Look at me ensuring I'm here right through. Now that I know you have a challenge in me, I could be here right through.
Mr. Speaker, I ask that we adjourn the House to 10 a.m. on Tuesday, the 4th of February, 2025, tomorrow.
Honorable members, the House stands adjourned to 10 a.m. February 4th. Have a safe trip home, everyone.
We are a peaceful people. Struggle is with struggle, and we don't look for trouble. Just ask around. But when outside faces from foreign places talk about taking over, we ain't backing down. We ain't giving up no mountains. We ain't giving up no tree. We ain't giving up no river that belongs to we. Not one blue sake, not one rice grain, not one karas, not a blade of grass. This land is all I know. We gonna make it somehow. We will bend like a bow and never Our fathers came here, and they lived and died here. And we ain't moving nowhere, make no mistake. Cause we ain't giving up no mountain, we ain't giving up no tree, we ain't giving up no river that belongs to we. Not one blue sake, not one rice grain, not one rice, not a blade of grass. We love the open country of the Rupununi and the Essequibo, the time when I eat. Though we may criticize it, this is our home, we love it, and we need to keep it. We have that right. So we ain't giving up no mountain, we ain't giving up no tree, we ain't giving up no river that belongs to we. Not one blue sake, not one rice grain, not one rice, not a blade of grass. So we ain't giving up no mountains, we ain't giving up no tree, we ain't giving up no river that belongs to we. Not one blue sake, not one rice grain, not one rice, not a blade of grass. We are a peaceful people, struggle is we struggle, and we don't look for trouble, just ask around. But when outside faces from foreign places talk about taking over, we ain't backing down. We ain't giving up no mountains, we ain't giving up no tree, we ain't giving up no river that belongs to we. Not one blue sake, not one rice grain,